Hi, my name's Mark, one of the pastors here at Trillium. I was playing a game of Trivial Pursuit a little while ago, and I'm not a big Trivial Pursuit fan. In fact, I try to avoid the game, to be honest. But I got into this game, and I was actually on the verge of winning. And the question I got to get that last little pie in it, or what you're supposed to put in, was this question. What famous 1980s televangelist got caught having sex with prostitutes? Now, instantly, the person's face popped into my mind. I could hear their voice. I'd heard them on TV many times. I'd even gone to a play about him and his cousin, Jerry Lee Lewis, but could I get the name of the person? And I'm sitting there so frustrated. I can't get the name. It's locked back in there as if it's in a file folder I can't find. And in the end, I didn't get the answer right. I couldn't get the name out because I couldn't remember it. Maybe you've had a frustration with memory or with some kind of remembrance. You can't pull it out of your mind when you want to, whether it's a person who you know well, whose name disappears in the moment, or it's an old street name you want to remember, or some fact on a test, and you just can't get at it, even though you can sense it there. You know, memory is a fairly elusive thing. In fact, even in the scientific literature, we don't really understand what it is, how it works. In fact, thought itself is pretty elusive. That thought you just had right now, where'd it come from? Is it just neurons firing? But then if it's neurons firing, what caused the neurons to fire in the first place? Other neurons? But then when did those neurons get inspired to fire too? You know, we've embraced for ourselves today, especially in the mind-brain dichotomy, machine language for ourselves. You know, we've used computer language to describe both the hardware and the software of how we think. And it's not true. This machine language narrows us down. It's not a helpful way to understand ourselves. There are no, for instance, file folders in the back of my mind. There's no filing cabinets. There's no cassette tape playing in my head or your head. There's no RAM or hard drive. There's not even really any wiring. Neurons are not technically wires in the way that we would understand them to be in our head. And yet we've reduced ourselves down to a really machine way of understanding ourselves, and that has reduced us in the mystery of what and who we are. We're looking at the spiritual gifts. You know, we looked at wisdom and knowledge, now we're looking at faith. And I think faith is the ability to have confidence and trust in the unseen, the intangible, the mysterious. It's this ability to be guided and moved by a force that we cannot recognize in physical terms. I'm thinking about a story of Ron DiFrancesco on 9/11. He was in the South Tower. He was just moving to the one of the exit stairwells when the second plane crashed into the South Tower, and he got stuck in the stairwell, and he didn't know whether to go up or down, whether he was coming or going, and all of a sudden this presence came to him. It wasn't physical, but it was there. He had a sense of even it being male, but he wasn't sure exactly what it was. He could hear it talking to him. It told him to get up. It told him to move. It guided him in the direction he needed to go. It pointed him in the right direction. When he came to a wall of fire in the stairwell and he was inclined to flinch away and retreat, the voice told him to go through it, and he did. He went down through 3 or 4 stairwells of fire before he got free, and then he finally met some firefighters coming up from the bottom, and he's the last living person to leave the South Tower. And he doesn't know exactly what happened to him that day. He feels, nonetheless, that it was divine intervention that made him alive, and he laments other people's dying, and he doesn't know why he's alive and they're not. But he still recognizes a divine presence in his rescue. I've wondered if I was in that stairwell, or if you were in that stairwell, whether we would have recognized that voice, or would we have been open to it? Could we have been guided by that voice to get us out? You know, our confidence in the unseen and our trust in the unseen is the essence of Jesus' ministry too. It's what made him who he was and what he was about. His very journey to the cross, his resurrection, the healings, the teachings, all are built around his confidence and trust in the unseen. I never did get the answer right in Trivial Pursuit. It was Jimmy Swaggart. I'll never forget that name again, as an aside. But what really matters is not the remembering of a specific fact, but our trust and our confidence in the unseen in our lives, whether it's the memory or the thought that pops into our head or a voice that speaks. or the pointing of our hearts. That's the true mystery.